afternoon, everybody. The first thing I'd like to say is, did you know that the Kushan Chorus has been performing for free every year at every MLK celebration? We also want to give respect to Director Dustin Willets from the Kushan Chorus, and today we're being led by Director Mary Somerville. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting this. We appreciate it. Is Annika Walters here with us today? I'm not seeing her. Okay, so we'll get started. I'm going to offer you a tribal welcoming. So I come to you today with great respect for my tribal ancestors, my tribal elders, tribal members here and everywhere. I also come to you today with great respect for the life and the work of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My name is Roxanne Murphy. I'm an 8th generation member of the Nooksack Indian tribe, and I humbly serve as your Bellingham City Council member at large. So it is my great honor to serve as your MC here today, and I want to wish you all a very warm welcome. And I thank each and every one of you that has attended this event today, because your support means the world. So thank you for being here. And just a couple of housekeeping items. We want to make sure that elders are able to get seats, or anybody with a disability can get a seat, and we have some seats up front. So please make yourself at home. And then also, I want to point out the artwork on the wall. This was created by students at the Happy Valley School. So take a look at that before you leave today. You know, I just also want to say, we have so much extensive work that we need to do as a community and throughout our world to create better social justice and cultural reform. But I wanted to point out some rather exciting things that I see happening throughout our great state of Washington. You know, Seattle, in the city of Seattle, what they did was they elected so many young individuals and more females. They are now a female-led council for the first time since 1992, and that's exciting. Also, the city of Yakima elected 3 Latinas this year, and now they only have 1 male on their council. It's exciting. And then also I wanted to point to the city of Tacoma, because they elected a great community leader who is also visually impaired. So this is all really, really, really exciting. And here locally, Bellingham, you supported these movements because you sent April Barker to the Bellingham City Council. So we now have another woman on our council. Is April here today? Well, let's just give a round of applause for April Barker. Thank you for supporting her. Oh, I see her. There's April Barker right there. And so many other elected leaders are supporting all of these efforts and movements and change. We have Pinky Vargas from the Bellingham City Council up above. The person who organizes this event every single year is Councilmember Terry Bornemann. And of course, we have lovely Mayor Kelli Linville. I see Councilmember Dan Hamill. We have former City Council member, former Whatcom County Council member, Seth Fleetwood. Am I missing anyone? Please raise your hand. Former Mayor Tim Douglas? There he is, sorry. Any other leaders that I missed? Okay, great. So we have some really great things in store today, because I think all of us can agree that we wouldn't have gotten this far in our society if it weren't for the work of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And we have some speakers that are going to talk about what Dr. King means to them, and especially with respect to women and civil rights. So our first speaker will be Mayor Kelli Linville.
First of all, this is my 4th year of having the honor of speaking at the Martin Luther King celebration. And I say this every year, and I mean it every year. Thank you so much for being here to honor Dr. King and what he stood for, and also to honor our City Hall, which I consider the people's house. So thank you for being here. Roxanne mentioned it, but it was hard for me to believe when I first became mayor 4 years ago that we never had a woman mayor before. So looking at the topic of civility or civil rights and women, I thought I'd give you a brief history for myself that I know was being made the change was coming with Martin Luther King when I was still a young woman in the 60s in Whatcom County. First of all, when you got married back then, you lost your first name. I don't know, I see some women out there with gray hair. You were not known as Kelli Coolgis anymore. You were known as Mrs. Larry Linville. And that seemed perfectly okay. But I always wondered what some of those women's names were because they didn't have them anymore. Secondly, if you were a young woman as I was, and you were putting your husband through college, and you were the one that was working, you could only get a credit card in your husband's name. So even though you were the one that was going to work every day, paying the rent, putting the food on the table, if you went to get credit, you didn't have any. You only had credit because of your husband. I was lucky because I always worked in the public sector. So it didn't matter if I was a woman teacher or a man teacher, I made the same amount of money. But we all know in the private sector, that isn't the case. And we're struggling and fighting to this day to make sure that there is equity for women in pay. And I certainly believe that that's important. But to bring it back to Dr. King, imagine if you were a woman and you were also a woman of color. Imagine if you were a woman and you were a part of the LGBTQ community. Imagine you were a woman and you were poor. You take all those things into consideration, and we know that our struggles aren't over. And we know that we have not met the expectations that Martin Luther King had set for all of us. We also know One of the things that I know that Martin Luther King would be saying right now is, thank God for the freedom of speech. Everyone is welcome to our celebration, and I see signs up in front of me, and I agree with every single one of them. Well, I think that if we find out our police department is racially profiling, then I would say that anyone in the department that's doing that needs to be disciplined or fired. Okay. But I do appreciate the fact that freedom is messy and it's loud, and sometimes it makes you frustrated and sad, but it's always the right thing to support and do. So thank you for coming here and expressing your opinions to us. Having said that, I'm not the main speaker, and I want to make sure that the two people that are here today that want to share their feelings, their thoughts, their experiences with you have time to do that. So again, thank you for being here, thank you for coming, and thank you for honoring Dr. King.
And we are just very excited to have our next speaker. He is an emerging community leader, and he is Cedric Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you. It's definitely an honor to have been invited today. This isn't entirely what I had planned to say, but obviously the civil rights movement is something that is not over and is something that is ongoing. And I think, as many of us know, many people of color, women, queer people, all kinds of marginalized people face oppression every single day. And I think that oppression can be invisible, and so it's easy to ignore. We study Martin Luther King in school, we study the civil rights movement as though it is something that happened in the past, a list of accomplishments, and I think there's a lot to be proud of, but we also clearly have a lot of work to do in our society. And thank you. I do feel like there definitely has been increased attention paid to many marginalized groups in recent years. There's been a lot of talk about sexual assault on college campuses, police brutality and murder directed primarily at black men and women, rampant violence against trans people and gay people. And I think because it's happening more and more and getting more attention in the media, which is a good thing, it's forcing a lot of us to have conversations with our friends and families and our coworkers and our loved ones about, is racism still an issue? Do Black lives matter? Do all lives matter? And these conversations often make people very uncomfortable. And I think that it is natural to feel guilty, perhaps defensive, perhaps helpless when people are talking about oppression that they feel that they themselves have felt, experienced, or maybe that they're witnessing happening to others. And when we feel uncomfortable talking about these things, we often shy away from them. We often want to change the subject and go elsewhere to not talk about it. And while I think that is a natural response, I think that we should really be engaging one another, including the people outside who are part of our community and who have something to say. And we should be going home and reflecting upon those feelings that make us feel uncomfortable. If somebody calls you out for something that you have done or said that is insensitive, instead of trying to explain yourself or getting defensive, maybe go home and think about it and reflect. And I think that it's important that we be vigilant, because the only way that we're going to continue to accomplish the things that we have accomplished and continue to make strides towards greater equity and towards an end to oppression as much as that's possible is if we keep talking about it and if people remain vigilant and aren't afraid to speak up and have the tough conversations. So, thank you.
I just wanted to ask Cedric a quick question in front of all of these people. Will you consider running for office someday? Next, we're going to hear from the Kushan chorus again, and they're going to perform Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around.
Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom line. Ain't gonna let discrimination turn me round, turn me round, turn me around. Ain't gonna let discrimination turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom line. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around, no, turn me around, no, turn me around. Ain't gonna let no hatred turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom line. Ain't gonna let intolerance turn me around, no, turn me around, no, turn me around. Ain't gonna let intolerance turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom line. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, no, turn me around, no, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up the freedom line.
Thank goodness for our Kushan chorus. So our next speaker, she's an educator, she's a community leader, she's been a community activist, and I would say she's a part of Operation Girl Power. Let us welcome Jamie K. Donaldson.
First of all, I want to thank the organizers for the opportunity to speak to you today. And I'd also like to acknowledge that I am doing so on the traditional lands of the coastal Salish peoples, our neighbors. In my work in intercultural communication up at the University of British Columbia, we start with the premise that everybody has a variety of identities at any given time. These identities are related to your gender, your class, your profession, your pastimes, and they're all operating at the same time. For example, I am an educator. I'm also a woman born into white privilege. I'm a Seahawks fan. I'm a bird watcher, and I am a peace and justice activist. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King also had a variety of identities operating at the same time. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, a Baptist minister. Doctor, a PhD in theology. And Junior, he was named after his father, who in turn was named after a historic figure. All of these identities at one time, and we'll add to that, he was a black man raised in the racist South. He was a piano player. He was also a father and a husband. All of these things at one time, and mostly we remember him for being a civil rights activist. Everyone here in this room has an activist identity as well, but you might not consider it so, but you should. Anytime you sign a petition, you're having an activist moment. When you lift your voices for peace and social justice and freedom, that is your activist identity expressing itself. So it's the same when you email your congressman. You're an activist when you teach children about Martin Luther King's commitment to nonviolent action. You're an activist when you teach our children about women's struggle for the vote here in the United States. You're taking action, and that's what activist means. And I'm inviting you not to shy away from the A word anymore. We are all activists. So don't shy away from it. Actually, the opposite is true. If ever there was a time in human history when we need activism, it's right now. Goodness knows these are very trying times. We need all hands on deck to fight against racial violence against Black lives. We need to protect women's reproductive rights and to attain that gender pay equity that we all struggle for. We need to uphold Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, which codifies respect and honoring and acknowledging Native treaty rights. There's more to do. There's more to do. We also have to make sure that Congress does not pass the anti-worker, anti-environment, anti-sovereignty, anti-democratic partnership, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Free Trade Agreement. Oh. So yes, this is a time to activate your activist identity, and I'm really proud to see women doing that in great numbers. Women have always been present in social movements, but at this time they're taking some very strong leadership roles. Just look at the African American young women who started the Black Lives Matter movement. And these were queer women as well. And up in Canada, it was Native women, Aboriginal First Nations women who started the Idle No More movement. All of us have that activist identity, and I'm calling it out today. And I'm not saying we're all called to leadership, but I'm saying we're all called to elevating, to giving some juice, some mojo to your activist identity. So next time, instead of just signing a petition on something that's really important to you, like, for example, raising the minimum wage in Washington State, pick up petitions and circulate them and gather signatures yourself. Speak up more loudly against the defunding of Planned Parenthood, and if you're concerned about the United States' use of military force instead of diplomacy in the world, join us on the corner for the weekly Friday Peace Vigil. We are there in front of the Federal Building every Friday. Rain, sun, We are there. We're there from 4 to 5, and you know what? We've been there for 50 years. It is, yes. This year, we celebrate 50 years of activism on the corner, where we hold a place for peace, for nonviolence, for social justice activism. And please note, it started 50 years ago with a silent vigil against the Vietnam War, a war that was vehemently opposed by Dr. Martin Luther King. So what better way to acknowledge, honor, and carry on the work of Dr. Martin Luther King every day of the year than to lift up your own activist identity?
Well, gosh, those words really inspired me, because I just want to say I think it's really exciting that a statewide initiative has been filed, and very soon you will have an opportunity to sign away so that you can get paid sick leave and a higher minimum wage on our ballot, so Washington State can vote for that. I hope you'll sign that. Thank you. So next we're going to hear from the Kushan Chorus again, and they will be offering "Oh Freedom." And this will include soloist Sonia Lee. In the prior song, we had soloist Bill Duncan. So thank you, Kushan Chorus.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Yeah. Before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried down in my grave and go home to my Lord, help me free. No more crying. No more crying. No more dying. No more crying over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried down in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Yeah, now you know. Let's get together and love each other. We're all brothers and sisters, can't you see? You know there's no superior race, and we all can share this space and go home to my Lord and be free. My Lord, be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Yeah. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried down in my grave, and I'll go home till our Lord and be free. Let's teach our children that we need them. We got to teach them a message so they'll see. We got to pass along the King's dream so everyone believes. And I can go home to my Lord and be free. Now let's have some singing, huh? Let there be singing, let there be dancing. Let there be dancing. Let there be singing over me. And before I'll be a slave, join in this time. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me, oh, freedom over me, and before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord. Hey, I'll be free. One more time. One more time. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom. Oh, freedom, oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. Let me over me. And before I'll be a slave, I'll be buried down in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Go home to my Lord and be free. And go home to my Lord and be free. May we all be free. May we all be free.
Thanks again to the chorus. Well, you know, there was one guy here that you all cheered for the loudest, and so we're going to ask that guy to come up here and say a few words. Councilmember Terry Bornemann, will you please come down?
I hadn't planned on speaking tonight, but one of the speakers who was going to speak didn't show up. And in thinking about it, this year I did decide I wanted to say a few words. I want to thank everyone for coming out, because I see so many friends here, so many people that have been coming to this for years and years. You know, yesterday when I first heard that there was going to be some protest, there was a part of me that felt some anger, because this has been a very special event for me and my family in general. And we've been doing this for a long time. But then I got thinking about some things Clyde Ford, who used to organize this for years, would say. And what Clyde would ask me is, what would Martin say? And then I realized what Martin would say was, throw out your arms, show compassion, educate, and try to bring people in. Because we're all here struggling for the same things. And I look around this room, and, you know, I hate to say it, but some of us are getting older. And I see represented out front a whole lot of energy looking for causes to latch onto. And I realize how important it is for us to embrace and bring in young people and educate them on what Martin Luther King was about. Because I went out and talked to the group beforehand and realized, you know, a lot of people that are involved don't know how this event originated and the people that have been involved over the years, and sometimes the controversy because of radical speakers and other kinds of things. But we keep coming back and trying to do this because the principles of Martin Luther King are so important. And today, they're more important than ever. When I look out what has happened in this country this past year, the assaults on the principles that he had fought for, that we thought we had made great gains on. But when I see terrorists, and I'm going to call them terrorists. You know, people want to do this lone wolf stuff. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Oops. We're on television. We're on television. But racist attacks on black churches in South Carolina, the attacks on Planned Parenthood, these are terrorist attacks. They're trying to go after women's rights. They're trying to go after black rights. We got people going after the voters' rights that we thought were sure things. More and more, we're seeing an attempt to throw back the clock. And unless we stand up for those things, it's going to happen, folks. So we need to continue to be vigilant. And when the questions are asked, do Black lives matter? Of God, do Black lives matter? You know? For some of you that don't know, I am a person of privilege. I'm male, I'm white, but I also have a family of children of color. And I've seen the effects sometimes on that. I've seen profiling happen, and it does happen. Even though in this city we have worked really hard to create a good police force. What some people don't even realize is our chief of police is a man of color, Asian American. Our deputy chief is a woman and African American. We have tried to put together a police force that more mirrors the city, and we try to stay on top of things. Stuff happens, and we just try to keep making things better. We live in a very special community, I think. We are privileged when I look out and see what happens in some of the other communities, but we have to keep working together to make all of these systems work better for all of our people, for men, women, gay, all races. We just have to keep pushing, educating, and working together. So again, thank you for coming out for this special day, and we got to keep Martin's wishes alive. Thank you.
Amen, Maggie. Gee, I just feel so lucky that I get to serve with Councilmember Terry Bornemann. We are lucky to have him in our community. Well, I just wanted to bring this to a close with a story that I hope will make you guys laugh. When I first got elected, one of my tribal mentors came to me and he said, "I don't think any of those electeds in Whatcom County are going to know what to do with you." And I looked at him weird and I said, "What are you talking about?" And for anyone who doesn't know, most Coast Salish tribes are matriarchal. So yeah, we have our tribal council when we have our leaders, but the elder females from our tribe are really the ones that are running the show. And so when my tribal mentor clarified, he said, "I don't think any of those electeds has ever had to work with a female from a matriarchal tribe before." And I'll just say I've had a lot of fun with that. But ultimately, in closing, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for being here to support this, even our friends outside, our friends inside, our friends in the chorus, all of the speakers. We are all a part of this work that we need to do to improve our community, to improve our country and our world. And together, I think we can make some major change. So thank you so much for being here. We're gonna have one more song from the Kushan chorus, and it's going to be Down by the Riverside. Haishka, Osiam, thank you.
get started, I would like to invite everybody here to join us in an act of community activism. And I'm sure many of you know this song, and please feel free to sing along with the chorus, clap, whatever you'd like to do. There'll be 4 verses, and our final verse, the words for that are, I'm going to shake hands around the world. And it would be great if you felt so moved to turn to the person next to you, shake their hand, give them a clap on the shoulder, join hands, whatever, and celebrate this wonderful community that we have to live in, that we have here today. And our friends outside would be welcome to come in and join us too if they'd like. If you want to open the door and invite them in, that would be great. So we'd like to end our presentation and our time with you today with this wonderful old song from the Civil Rights Movement, Down by the Riverside.
I'm gonna lay down my heavy load. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna lay down my heavy load. Gonna study war no more. Oh no, no, no. Study war no more. No, no, no. Oh, gonna study. I ain't gonna study. Ain't gonna study. Don't you know I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield? Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Yes, Lord. Down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield. Oh, yeah. Study war no more. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna study. No, no, study. No, 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 no. Anymore, no more. I ain't gonna study. No, 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 gonna study. Oh, yeah, gonna study war no more. Yeah, I'm gonna meet all of my brothers and sisters. Oh, yes. You know. Don't you know I'm gonna meet all of my brothers and sisters? Yeah, yeah, study. Oh, I ain't gonna study. No, no, study. No, 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 gonna study. Anymore, no more. No, I ain't gonna study. No, 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 study. Don't you know I'm gonna study? War no more.